So the worst type of anime that I hate, that I despise, that get on my nerves, is basically the ones that have like a main character who clearly is a horrible person and like is clearly a pedophile. And there's a lot of anime like this, and it like really freaking annoys me. Just sexualization in anime in general gets on my nerves because a lot of the time the fan service in anime, because there's so much, is so unnecessary. Like we don't need it. Like we're good, okay? You don't need to always show, titties and butts and panty shots. Um, and a lot of it can make you like very, very uncomfortable. One thing that annoyed me as a kid is I remember seeing Sonic X, right? And I remember Cream the Rabbit from Sonic X. If you're a Sonic fan, you know who Cream the Rabbit is. Cream is like the most adorable, like most innocent little girl anime character, right? And there was like a scene, and I think they took it out of the American version. I'm not sure, but basically there's a scene where it like shows underneath her dress and shows her panties, and it like made me so mad when I seen that. I'm like, that's so unnecessary. We don't need to see it, bro. Why is it even in the show? Like everything doesn't need to be constantly overly sexualized. And let me tell you, the worst type of anime, the best example I have of this is a show called Welcome to the NHK. And I remember there was a YouTuber I used to watch who constantly would talk about this anime and talk about how it's very relatable. I think there was probably like two or three different YouTubers who kept talking about this anime and acting like it was such a good anime. So I just basically took a look at it and I was like, I'm about to freaking watch it because every time I watch a YouTuber and they talk about how amazing an anime is, it always piques my interest and I decide, I'm gonna go watch this, see if it's actually worth watching, right? And I remember watching this anime and basically it's like a main character who's like 20, 21, he lives in an apartment. He's been lying to his mom. He basically, if I remember correctly, he doesn't go to college, but he says he's in college. But he actually just sits in the house all day, and his parents pay the rent. And there's like a teenage girl, I think she's like 17, who's like pretending to be his girlfriend, um, for when his mom comes to town. And he was talking about like his job, and he ends up finding out that like he has a neighbor who he knew in school. I believe it was back in high school, who's basically like a giant weeaboo who has like a whole bunch of anime girl statues and figurines and a whole bunch of anime stuff. And they basically decide to make a project and do a project where it's like they're making a video game, and it's basically like a hentai kind of thing. Um, and honestly, like the show wasn't that bad when it came to that at first, but then it like started becoming super uncomfortable because it's like, first of all, the realization that the girl, I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be like 17 and he's supposed to be like 21, 22. But there's like a scene in the show that's so freaking creepy. Basically, he like goes to school, and I think it's a middle school, I'm pretty sure, and he's like looking at these girls, and they're literally middle schoolers, and he's clearly doing some creeper pedo type stuff by looking at them. And I was like, this is the anime show, bro, that y'all recommended to me. And that's one big problem with like, anime YouTubers. A lot of them are just like super creepy for no reason. Like, you don't even be that serious. And they never mentioned it, when they were talking about it. They just kept talking about how relatable it is. And I'm like, that shit is not relatable. Excuse me. Once I seen that scene, I literally immediately turned the show off and was like, yeah, I'm not watching this. I'm like, this is too much. And it can be annoying because it's kind of in every show. Um, but some shows are creepier than others. Because it's like, okay, for example, a show's about high school. It's clearly for people who want to watch a show about high school. And it's for, high schoolers to watch. So that's not creepy. But, and just like small little fan service, like cute stuff, like they fall on top of each other and it's like inappropriate, but it's kind of just like a little gag of like, oh my gosh, he fell into her boobs. Stuff like that is not that big of a deal. Like that type of fan service is very simple. But then there's just like unnecessary, over the top, overly creepy fan service. And Welcome to the NHK had that like filled in throughout the whole show. Pretty much, it was just like the show is not relatable. This show is not good. The plot of the show is garbage. It wasn't good, guys. And just the sexualization in anime is just so freaking unnecessary. It's just like, you know. Now, when it shows little shots where it's like something cute, like it'll show, like, for example, if you watch a lot of high school romance shows, it shows like our main protagonist looking at the girl who's his friend, and it's that will they, won't they kind of thing. And it's like she decides, like, she's like a tomboy, but she decides to wear something a little more cute, a little more revealing. And then you like see her looking really cute, and she does a little hair like this or something, and it just makes the guy flustered. That can be fan service that's actually cute and appropriate, makes sense, and it's not overly sexualized. Because the fan service is supposed to be, oh, she looks beautiful, and that's why he's so infatuated. It's supposed to be more romantic versus overly sexual. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's always funny when it's like a gag. I remember when it was like My Hero Academia. It was like Mineta was so freaking excited to see the girls in bathing suits, and there was like a little gag where all the girls wore the same bathing suit. And they're just like, ah, that was funny. That was funny as hell because he was like mad because he thought they were gonna all be in like these inappropriate bathing suits, and they all just wore the same thing, and they all were kind of dressed up like swimmers. I thought that was hilarious. But I do get burnt out, like, I do get burnt out of the overly sexualization of characters, especially characters who are underage. Like, we really don't need it. It's just like, why are you putting that in there? Because if they took it out, you could watch the anime shows more with your family, versus it being like you're watching them alone. Also, a lot of the just constant unnecessary screaming and moaning that they have the girls do in the show can be very annoying. They do that a lot in anime shows where it's just like a girl screaming super loud for some reason. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I have noticed that. But I do wish they would kind of clean that up and just stop doing the overly sexualization of just like people who are just young and whatnot, and just unnecessary fan service in anime.